What's up, Phanatics? Sorry that we're coming to you a little bit late, but, better late than never. I'm Chris, the Dace Man Dace, and joining me as always, Mr. Erik Burruezo.
We miss you, Tyler.
Yes, no Tyler this week as well, so based on scheduling, and we're all very busy people, and we had a Phillies game Wednesday. My dumbass booked myself to go see a play on Thursday, and then the weekends are just weekends, so that's really tough.
Yeah.
But we're going to be going over the two series before that we were supposed to cover, which are the Phillies versus the Pirates and Phillies versus Rockies. We'll save the White Sox series, even though it's complete, for next week, just in case shit goes sideways in Cincinnati. At least we'll have a positive note next week when we talk. But we're going to cover the 7-game stretch, the back half of their homestand that they did. Talk about the wins, the losses, the streakiness, and then how one player seems to be good every night, and the rest of the team just relies on that one player. So we'll start with the first game, which was last Thursday versus the Pittsburgh Pirates, April 11th, where we won 5-1. So that was Ranger Suarez was the pitcher, because Sanchez was
every time he pitches, he just stops.
So what were your thoughts on that game? I know we're dipping far back in the well because it's almost 2 weeks by the time we record this, but it was the beginning of their homestand.
Yeah, like I just said, Ranger's the stopgap. So when he comes in to pitch, he immediately stops the bleeding, per se. It's not like they were bleeding because their starting pitcher has been really good, but they didn't really have any streaks yet. So like they'll get like the 2 streaks, like a 2-win streak, and then all of a sudden they'll lose, then they'll win, then they'll lose, then they'll win. So you're like, come on, can we do something? And the same thing. So we won against the Cardinals that last game. That first game was Ranger. We won again, and that was Brandon Marsh going deep, and Alec Boehm and Bryson Stott. And it seems like it's those 3, and majority Alec Boehm and Brandon Marsh doing all the work. But the starting pitching has been phenomenal for us.
When your worst pitcher is Aaron Nola with like a 3.46 ERA or whatever it is,
yeah,
I guess that's a good problem to have.
It's insane. And like, I know we're going to talk about the White Sox series and everything next week, but like the last 6 games, they've had like under a 1-point ERA. Like it's been amazing what they've done. But that first game against the Pirates is exactly how you expected. Like, with Ranger to come out and be semi-dominant, and he looked exactly that. And like you said before, he's got to be probably the biggest dick when he's fielding the ball. It's amazing. Like he waits like 2 steps away from the bag and then throws them out.
Every time you and I are watching this game, because we text almost every game, I'll send you a message like, I would fucking charge him in a heart. I wouldn't even go to first because he's such a dickhead about it.
Dude, like,
the crazy thing is that's why I love Cliff Lee. He was the same exact way.
Yeah,
but for whatever reason, I guess because Ranger's younger than me, now all of a sudden I got an issue with it. It's like, fuck this young prick.
But it's absolutely amazing. It's just so nonchalant every single play. And he gets like 3 plays almost every game that's coming directly to him. And it's always just lollygagging over to the bag, barely tossing, or him just standing on the mound and just throwing a bullet to Bryce Harper and getting him out 2 steps away from the bag. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, the only time he seems to have quick reaction is if he's going for that out at second.
Yeah.
The ball bounces back up, and he's not even looking to see like where the fucking runner is. He just spins and fires off and hopes that somebody's there. So if Turner and Stott are not paying attention, that ball is getting fucking sailed.
100%. But that's exactly, and like we said before, I think he missed the Gold Glove award by like 3 innings or some bullshit last year. Like he should have got it, and they gave it to Zach Wheeler instead, which he was good, but he was nowhere near as good defensively as Ranger is.
I feel like Zach's a little bit slower. I mean, he's good somewhat defensively, but his reaction speed of like if the ball's anywhere near him, he seems more like the type of guy of like I'm not gonna go for it. That's why I have defenders.
Yeah.
Whereas Ranger is like trying to snatch it as quick as fucking possible, and then walk it the first.
Yeah, like I know you won't get this reference, but it's like watching my son on the mound with Ranger because he's trying to go after every single ball possible, no matter if it's in center field or if it's up at the catcher. Like he's trying to get it, and then this other kid that's on our team that is like 6 inches taller than him, and he doesn't move at all, like zero movement whatsoever. And if it does, it's taking him an hour to get to first base.
Jeez. So the top performers of that Thursday game, like you said, was Ranger Suarez, 6-inning pitch, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 8 strikeouts. Bohm went 2 for 3 with a home run, RBI, and a run. And Marsh went 1 for 3, home run, 2 RBIs, and a run. And a common theme, like you said, during this homestand is that Bohm and Marsh will be significant players. The second night of the 4-game series with the Pirates was not as friendly. And I think a recap we'll do of this entire series at the end of this is the Phillies beat themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of fucking errors. The Phillies had 2 errors that night. They dropped the game 5-2 to the guy they traded to Pittsburgh, Bailey Falter, for that wonderful stud Castro, who he's what, in Clearwater right now, or is he in Reading?
Who even knows where the hell he is? He's probably in Clearwater just attempting to get back up here, and we're like, nah, dude, the bus doesn't run this way.
Yeah, you just might as well go take a swim, pal. Maybe a new phone plan. We didn't want you. We realized we fucked up on that. But it's not even to the crazy thing is on this game, Sanchez had the errors.
Yeah.
Now there was a lot of misplays in the field. I think Turner slipped because it was another shit weather game. One dropped in front of Witt that just kind of looked like Witt should have had, but they scored them hits, which I feel like if it was a nice 70-degree day that they weren't fucking hits. But the 2 errors were on Sanchez. One where he bobbled it a couple times, and then another one he sailed it over Bryce's head, thrown to first. So I don't know if there's like jitters, but it's weird that the guy that beat out Falter for that starting position fucking faltered against Falter. And that's a dad joke / pun, and I hate myself for it.
But even if you look at his stat line, though, like his stat line was really good. He still got the loss, obviously, but 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned, and there's that error. So, like and 6 Ks. Like it's still a hell of a stat line for your starting pitcher.
The damn shame is his bullpen did him no favors.
No.
Because he kept the game tight. Granted, he came out in the 6th, and it was they were down by 1 run, and then ultimately the Pirates would score 1 run in the 7th, 2 in the 8th to put the nail in the coffin. But he did keep the game close despite his errors.
And that's that dude Pinto, who hasn't been good since his story of coming directly to the game and going right in after saying, "Hey, I'm Pinto. Nice to meet you, coach." He went right in and he pitched so well, and he hasn't done shit since.
Rob, you need a 3-hour drive to the game every day. We'll just do some circles around Philadelphia. That gets you in the mood.
It was kind of like looking at freaking Lorenzen. He pitched that no-hitter, and all of a sudden he was shit for the rest of the year. And that's kind of, I don't want to say Pinto had a no-hitter, but Pinto was phenomenal, and he's been shit so far. So it's obviously not the rest of the year. There's still plenty to go, but I don't think he's going to be on the team after this weekend.
No, and a lot of foreshadowing for our next week's episode about pitchers who maybe went a little too long and didn't pan out.
Yeah.
So the crazy thing is, to keep on the Sanchez topic, he went 6. Him and Falter pretty much had the same stats. Sanchez went 6 innings. Falter only went 5. He got the win. But they both gave up 4 hits, both gave up 1 earned run. But Sanchez had more strikeouts, 6 strikeouts versus the 3 strikeouts. So it was it was a shit game, just straight up. I think I told you that the Turner and Witt play, even though they were scored hits, were just routine plays that you think they would have made given the weather circumstances. So I think the weather and the Phillies beat themselves in that game. The third game, things turned around. It was tight. It was not a fun one if you were watching it for all 9 innings. But the Phillies beat the Pirates 4-3 with some heroics at the end of the game. The winning pitcher was Jeff Hoffman. Losing pitcher was Hernandez. And top performers of the game, Schwarber went 3 for 3. Tyler's not here to defend him. Still sucks ass. 1 home run, 2 walks, RBI, 2 runs. And Strom went 2 innings that game, 0 hits, 0 earned runs, and 5 strikeouts. So Strom had a good game that too. What did you think about the third game in the Pirates series?
Well, I missed most of it because of baseball that day. But what I did catch from listening to it seemed like it was going to go our way from the beginning. Like we in the bottom of the second or bottom in the first, we scored 2 runs. So I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. This is going to go well. And then all of a sudden, it kind of went off the rails a little bit. Like they gave up 2 runs in the fifth, but it wasn't too much damage. So you thought you could handle it, but they couldn't come back from that until the 9th inning, and your boy Castellanos hit the walk-off, which, like you said earlier today in our text, it's crazy that Schwarber and Casti can't have good games like the same game. It's either one or the other, but that game was like one of the outliers. But it seems like their bullpen completely shut them down, which was amazing. It was just Turnbull who actually had a sort of rough game, but it was only 3 runs that he gave up. Like you think with our offense, yeah, there's no issue. We're gonna get those 3 runs easy, just in one inning. And unfortunately, Rojas is batting better than Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, like all your big hitters. And it's when Rojas is batting better, that's rough.
So and it was a fairly nice day. It wasn't like it was a shit weather day to blame it on that.
Yep.
And as much as I want to defend Castellanos, it was kind of a lucky hit he had in the 9th inning. He needed it, and things, I wouldn't say fully rebounded for him, but he's been doing better since that walk-off.
Yeah.
Especially like the next foreshadowing to our conversation next week. About the White Sox game. I think they needed that series as well as the Rocky series we'll talk about tonight to really start boosting some confidence on some of these players.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on that third game for the Pirates versus Phillies on Saturday?
It kind of seemed, from what I saw in the highlights, that Harper is just lost. Like he had 3 Ks in that game, and it's just I think it was during. It wasn't the Braves. What was the second series? I forget. But he had the 3 home runs. And you're like, all right, he's back.
He's turning it back. Yeah, he's turning it back on, and
this is fine. And he hasn't really done anything since then. And then it was the 0 for 4 game again, and you're like, Jesus, dude, like what's going on? Like what are you doing? You're swinging at the shit like Schwarber and Casti swing at, and you've always been selective, and you've never swung at that garbage, and you're swinging at stuff that is bouncing right before the plate, like 5 feet before the plate. Like you haven't done that your whole career. So I think he's just trying to do way too much. He's still thinking that it's just him on the team instead of realizing that if you have a bad day, somebody else is going to pick you up behind you. And he's not getting that. So he's going up there every single swing and trying to crush it. And I think that game especially. And I don't know if it was because of like who they were pitching, or what, but it wasn't like Gonzalez was throwing the ball 100 miles an hour like we faced Hunter Green. Like it wasn't that. So I don't know. But they all seemed pretty lost that day.
Every time we talked about this Pirate series, even though they won that game, we're talking like, oh, they looked lost. They were beating themselves in that series. Anytime they had a tight run at it, anytime they were behind, it felt like it was their fault and their game to lose, which then brings us into the shit show that was Sunday, to end the series and ultimately split the series 2-2. Pirates beat the Phillies 9-2. Wheeler had a rough day. We all get one, but then again, nobody fucking helped them. So that's always the disappointing thing at that point. Highlight of the game: Trey Turner went 3 for 4. A home run, 2 RBIs, and a run. And the bigger highlight, even though he's not a Philly, but he's a former Philly, Mr. Andrew McCutchen hit his 300th home run. Glad it was that game where we were already down like 7-2 or whatever the hell it was. It was like the 9th inning. Kutch hit his 300th. If you listen to us, we're Kutch fans. We're not Frank Ward level Kutch fans. If you watch the Dace Man show or anything else he's appeared on that has to bring up baseball for a second or two. But it was cool. He spent 5 years here. So the Phillies fans were not dickheads about it like they could have been.
Yeah.
But like if it was Chris Bryant who hit the 300th home run, I'm pretty sure we would have just burned him.
100%.
Just because all the shit talking he did and not signing here.
Like I think that's the thing about McCutchen is he's your lunch pail guy, and that's what the city gets behind the most. Is like you could be the worst player, but if you actually try, like Garrett Stubbs, he's not the best player on the team, but he comes and he busts his ass, and especially in the opportunities that he's given. And I'm not comparing McCutchen to Stubbs at all, but
to your point, statistically worse than Andrew Knapp. But if you got rid of Stubbs, there'd be a fucking riot. That's the crazy thing. Knapp was statistically better than Stubbs, and I don't think the city wants to part with our resident vibe officer.
I mean, I would.
You just have a thing against backup catchers like I have a thing against left fielders.
I loved him up until he made that freaking point about jumping in the pool in Diamondbacks. And then after that, I was done. But anyway, so yeah, McCutchen's home run was awesome. And again, like he was phenomenal here, and he just got the city. He got the fans. He did what he does best, and he played with kind of like what Harper is doing. Like he played into what he knew and how to get the fans on his side for anything. And people hated that he got hurt and how he got hurt.
He had the charisma too to play around. Like when you look at certain players, they get like JT. He looks like a serial killer that doesn't show any fucking emotion. And you love him for being, quote unquote, the best catcher in baseball, even though he's probably like 5th at this point. McCutchen is always goofing around.
Yeah.
There was a fly ball that Harper caught off first base in this game, and he just kind of stalked behind him, fucking with Harper after he caught the ball. Like, the fuck, man? And then just randomly like you're watching the camera, and Harper just looked at him like, what the hell? Why are you near me?
Yeah. Harper had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, and I fell in love with him personally during the COVID era, where he was talking to the cardboard cutouts because they couldn't have fans, and he's pointing to the cardboard cutouts going, hey, who wants the ball? Who wants you? All right, I'll throw it to you. Like, he looks like he's always having fun. Whereas, like, there's some players that just take the game a little too serious. Or who's that dickhead out in Los Angeles, the Angels guy, that wants to play halftime? Was it Rendon?
Trout? Or, no. Yeah, third baseman.
Yeah, like, I'm getting paid a couple $100 million, and I only want to pay 80.
Yeah, this is just a job or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a way to turn your own personal home fan base against you. Yeah. McCutchen, maybe with the exception of the Yankees, anywhere he's gone, he's been beloved. Yeah. And the Yankees just aren't real fans, so they aren't.
Shout out to Kerbin.
Well, yeah, just like if you're a brand, you're not a real band or a real fucking team.
But even with Wheeler's rough outing, he had 10 Ks, which is amazing.
Yeah, like it's mind-boggling because he's definitely a Cy Young contender. The crazy thing is he's going to be contending against guys like Ranger fucking Suarez that you never fucking pictured would be in the picture.
Yeah.
And we said at the top of this show, when Aaron Nola is your worst pitcher, and not having like a typical really annoying Aaron Nola year, that's a good problem to have. Like you have a guy who is bouncing back from what Tommy John's. Spencer Turnbull hasn't really been himself since that surgery.
Yeah.
He's looking pretty good this year for us. You got Ranger, who's doing Ranger things. Hopefully he stays that way. Sanchez is kind of proven he wasn't a fluke. And then Wheeler's just Wheeler, man. He's just going to deal. Meanwhile, on the other end of it, you got Taiwan out there. So we're going to transition before we jump into the Rocky series. Talk a little bit about Taiwan Walker because he did a lot of prep games during we thought he was going to be back for the Pirate series. Obviously, weather did not permit that, so he couldn't get the starts in. And now he's early May, I think they're calling for. What do you do with him?
I thought it was this weekend.
It could be. I know he's doing a couple starts in Lehigh, right? So
allegedly tonight was his last start. So Sunday was his last start in AAA.
So there's a chance he joins them on the road out in.
Allegedly, yes.
But what do you do with that? So if Taiwan's actually what Taiwan Walker was advertised to be, who is a fourth starter who could technically be a second or third starter on another team, what do you do? Who goes to the bullpen? I jokingly said you said Nola because he's got the worst ERA, but still, what do you do?
I think what they're going to do is they're going to send Turnbull, and I believe that's the right decision, just because of what you said, his injury, not history, but him coming back from the injury, and also he hasn't been able to throw 170 innings, what we're looking for. Taiwan Walker has. Sanchez is going to this year. Ranger's going to. Wheeler obviously kills that. Every year he's thrown more than that. Knock on wood, hopefully no injuries. And then same thing with Nola. They've been outrageous when it comes to innings wise. But yeah, I don't know what the hell you do with Walker. I feel like that's what they're going to do is just going to shove Turnbull into the bullpen, and then he's going to be your long relief guy. And he's basically going to come in when Walker can't get through the third inning because he sucks in the first 3 innings, and then he settles in. So that's what I imagine is what is actually going to happen.
I think you're unfortunately right. And to your point, if that's the case, Turnbull would be starting Thursday Thursday, because Wednesday. Today was an Ola game. Tomorrow would be Suarez. Tuesday against the Red would be Sanchez. Wednesday would be Turnbull.
Yeah, and that's what the probable starters are. Yes.
Turnbull and whoever Reds is.
Nick Lodolo, who is 2-0 with a .75 ERA.
All right.
But Spencer Turnbull is 2-0 with a 1.23 ERA.
So I guess you start Walker, see how he does. If he shits the bed, you put Turnbull in. Hey, look, plan to start. But we're going to start Walker. But prep as if you were going to start, so therefore you could step in if Walker doesn't pan out.
And in reality, the only reason why they're doing it is because of the paycheck. That's
Easily.
it.
Yeah.
So it's not because Walker is a better pitcher than Turnbull. It's not because Walker deserves it more because he put in more work or whatever. It's like that. It's strictly just on salary wise, and I think that part is a mistake. But Walker's a good pitcher. He won 14 games last year, 14 or 15 games last year, but he wasn't dependable in the playoffs, and he was never used in the playoffs.
The rough thing about the win losses is Zach Wheeler's 1-3 so far this year, and we know Zach Wheeler is pitching fucking gems. Taiwan Walker winning 14 games isn't necessarily Taiwan Walker doing Zach Wheeler's things.
Yeah, it was kind of like when Nola was second in the Cy Young Award a couple years ago, and he was 9-8 or something like that, but he got 3 runs a game. That's all he had run support wise, comparative to whoever it was. It could have been, I don't know. I can't remember the fifth starter, but he got Bailey Falter.
Yeah.
He had like 7 runs a game, and it was just they were hitting. That was all. It just happened to be luck of the draw.
Yep. So I think the interest. So let's just assume they move Turnbull to the bullpen. With how well Turnbull and Sanchez have been doing, do you think they're trade pieces at some point?
I don't think so, just because of who are you going to go after? Another Brandon Marsh solidified that he needs to start every left field or against left-handed pitcher, right-handed pitcher. He solidified that. Your other thing, you could probably do Rojas, but like to replace Rojas, but you're not gonna find defense like that, and that has shown that Whit Merrifield doesn't deserve to play as often as he does. Rojas should be playing more than him. So I don't know how you're going to improve the bat there. So what are you trading Turnbull or Walker or Sanchez or whoever for? Like you're not going to get anything that's going to help you now. So I to me I would keep all of it because you never know when the injuries bug is going to come, and they could potentially give Wheeler more days of rest at the end of the year.
So even keeping that in mind, and you got to also remember you have Mick Abel off in the wings. That at some point it's predicted that he'll
That's
show up.
true. Yeah.
Do you go after maybe a couple so you got Spencer Turnbull probably at a high rate right now. We'll compare him to the housing market. He's overinflated, and the house isn't worth that much, but people need houses. So do you send him away for maybe 2 mid bullpen pieces? This way you can kind of fill some of the gaps that I don't see it in Sir Anthony anymore. I think he's a fucking lost cause, just in
Yeah.
my opinion. And
Yeah.
Gregory Soto's a goddamn fucking dumpster fire.
Yeah. I can see where you're going with that. And in reality, that's probably the best bet to do. But it's also Thompson and Dombrowski, and they have faith in their guys, and I don't think they're gonna trade them in order to like Turnbull to replace them. Because one, they probably don't have any options left. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna DFA them.
Mm-hmm.
So or you're gonna keep them in the bullpen, and like you're gonna have to DFA somebody. So I don't know. It's tough. Like you need to get that. I like your idea of getting more bullpen help because they need that. They truly do.
There's only, in my opinion, 2 reliable guys in there right now. Granted, they both had rough starts. We get the whole bullpen just had a fucking rough start as like a collective unit. But I feel like Alvarado and Strom got back on track.
Yeah.
Whereas
Well,
Sir
Hoffman
Anthony,
too, 3.
Hoffman as well. Whereas Sir Anthony, he's still showing the same inconsistencies that drove us fucking nuts last year. Before he went out on injury,
Yeah.
which only got compounded when he went out on injury. And then I've never liked the Soto trade. And he is just him, Pinto, which sucks because I really had high hopes for Pinto, and Sir Anthony just feel like liabilities right now. And Kirkering, I think, is just too early to tell.
Yeah, because he's coming back from that injury, so you don't know where he's going to be at. So he's just still being worked in. So yeah.
You got a bullpen of about 8 guys, 3 really good, 3 I would not trust with fucking anything, and then, well, I guess 2 if you think Turnbull goes to it and Kirkering are there, that are like Turnbull's really good right now, but he could fade off because of injuries in the past, and we still don't know how Kirkering's going to bounce back fully.
And if you're going to compete, like obviously, I don't expect the Astros to make it back to the World Series, but if you're going to compete with a team like the Astros were 2 years ago when we played them, their bullpen was stacked. Every single bullpen, from the long relief to short relief, whatever the hell you want to call it, the closer, all of it were lights out. And that's kind of what Dombrowski has tried to do is he's tried to find these pitchers who can throw 100 miles an hour, but they can't
You can't stay healthy.
control it. Yeah, they can't control it and they can't stay healthy. Both the two things that you need the most.
And
So
I think it sucks that we have to fortify this fucking bullpen with such a great starting staff because the starters, and we'll talk about this next week when we talk about the White Sox series, have been giving them fucking relief to the point
yeah,
where they don't have to come in. And that our hitting, where I think we put most of our money into, bang for the buck, literally, is not where it is to have a bullpen be as meh as this is. Even though MLB thought it was the top bullpen in the fucking league. I
yeah,
don't know where they got that. But to have three players that like you really can't rely on and have our bats that are very inconsistent, I feel like you got to fortify that bullpen, which sucks because I hate pitching because you can't. It's just fucking rolling the dice, really.
yeah. And the one pitcher I wanted was from the White Sox, and we're probably going to see him against the Padres because he got traded to the Padres. I don't know if he's going to be the one that's
That's
coming up.
Cease, right?
Yeah,
Dylan.
Dylan. Yeah. So it's interesting with that. I like where your head's at in order to get two relief pitchers for Turnbull, and you probably could do that, especially like what you said that this is the hottest he's going to be, and it could all go downhill like
Mm-hmm.
after this year or even the end of this year.
It could be a Kimbrel situation. He might go all the way to the All Star game, get nominated for an All
Yep.
Star nod, and then it's just okay. You used him too much, and now he's burnt out. Same with Lorenzen. Lorenzen was phenomenal, and then
Yeah.
he just was used too much. I think that's the problem with pitching, because guys want to throw 100 miles per hour and get up to that velocity. They are not good to last from March to November.
Yeah.
Whereas back in like the four aces era, they weren't. They were throwing what, mid-90s.
Yeah, and that's kind of like I don't know if you saw the interview with I think his name is Tyler Glasgow. He's on the
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers, and he basically said, "My bread and butter is throwing as hard as I possibly can," and that's unfortunately like it has come with Tommy John surgery, but that's what gets you paid. That's what gets you to stay in the MLB. It's throwing 99 miles an hour or faster. Maybe it's for 60 games, but that's what's going to get you those $300 million paychecks. And he's like, that's worth it. Instead of throwing what Jamie Moyer did or what Greg Maddux did, which he could paint the corners and throw 92 at the highest. But he could be that you want it bottom left, boom, bottom left. You want it top right, boom, top right. It didn't matter where the hell you wanted it. He would put it exactly there. And he's like, that's not me. I throw fast as shit, and that's what I do. And if it's gonna come with an injury, it's gonna come with an injury. And that's what our game is though.
That's the
And
problem with guaranteed contracts.
yeah. And
I'm
in order for he even said like in order for me to have gotten drafted, I had to throw fast. And it's in order for me to keep my roster spot now, I have to throw fast.
mhm.
It doesn't matter. Like you're not picking these people out of high school that are throwing 70, 80 miles an hour. You're picking them when they're throwing 85 to 90 because you know they're going to get to 100 or 98. Like you know that's where they're getting.
I really hope it's just a fad. Like this is just kind of a phase. Like I feel like baseball kind of goes through phases because like I thought pitching was really good and like exciting back between 2000 when I started watching like religiously in 2007, 2008 up to about 2000, we'll say 13, 14, where people were throwing legit perfect games.
Yeah.
Then we get into the era of like I got to throw fast, I got to throw velocity. It doesn't matter where the fucking ball lands. It could be in the
Yeah.
fucking stands. If they're swinging at it, I'm good. And then you're getting combined no hitters. It's not
Yeah.
fun. Like
Yeah.
I get that like a perfect game is not like is rare for starters, but it's also not really fun to watch when a team's not hitting because you always want like the fireworks. Like, oh,
Yeah.
let me hit some dingers. I think you're just shortening the careers of too many people too soon and like skewing what a good pitcher is.
Like this year, there's already been like 7 or 8 pitchers that have gone down with Tommy John surgery or some kind of UCL surgery. Strider didn't get Tommy John, but he got some kind of UCL bone fragment bullshit that was floating, and that's what he got. But Ohtani, again, Tommy John surgery, and he's going to be down until next year.
And he was. And the annoying thing is he was paid.
Yeah.
Irregardless of the surgery. Of like, oh, this is his second one. We're still going to give him 400 or whatever the hell the total was. Yeah. Because he's a dual player. It's like he's going to pitch probably for 2 more years and then that's it.
But it's like
of how he throws.
It's everyone. It's every single person. Like even DeGrom. Like he's had like I think 6 Tommy John surgery now. Like I think he has like a punch card every time he goes. It's possibly a free one. I guess it's insane what that guy has been through. But he's again still getting paid.
Yeah, and he hasn't pitched a full fucking season.
Yeah, no. He can give you the first like maybe 20 games, and that's what 4 starts because every 5th day. So he can give you that, and those 4 starts are going to be phenomenal, and you're going to have 15 Ks, you're going to have 1 earned run, and you're going to have like 6 innings, and that's what he's going to give you, but it's going to be 100 miles an hour every single freaking pitch. But after that, see you later. See you next year.
Yeah.
I'll come back. Like there's a dude that got a freaking World Series ring by doing nothing.
Pitching opening day. That's it.
Yeah. Nothing at all.
So it's crazy. And I'm sure we'll talk more about pitching as we go along. The Phillies, knock on wood, like you said, have not been really hurt by the injury bug. Whatever fuck's wrong with Taiwan. It's probably just depression. But he's really been the only thing. Him and Kerkering being sick and not getting the full starting spring training that he should have gotten.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the conversations will heat up, especially hopefully the next time we talk, we have a Taiwan start in the books for us to talk about. See, like, hey, did we make the right call? But we do have one more series to talk about before we close out this week's episode, and that is where shit got fun. That is Phillies versus the Colorado Rockies. I'm going to start this conversation with, hey, remember a couple of years ago when we really wanted Chris Bryant?
Oh, geez. I know the fans out in Colorado will give him up for a bucket of balls right now.
This is where I wish Tyler was on the show because we have our argument between Schwarber and Casting and be like, at least it wasn't that fucking guy.
Like, I can't believe how much he's fallen off. It's crazy.
He was like such a hero in Chicago and then even brought some of those heroics to San Francisco. And it's like, yeah, let's get this fucking guy. Don't need Bohm. We could put him at third. Yep. Holy fuck, did we dodge a bullet? I don't know if that was just like Dombrowski catching it or just luck that Bryant wanted nothing to do with us.
It's 100% luck.
It had to be because I guarantee if Bryant said, yeah, I'd play there, he'd be here. Like, because he's one of Bryce's boys, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. Oh, and I want to say how wrong I was again on Yoshi. Like, just going to keep on feathering that cap. Like, thank God Dombrowski didn't offer him even more. Like, that $325 million contract that the Dodgers gave him is looking rough. Real freaking rough right now. And, he's still getting used to it. So he could be a phenomenal pitcher the rest of this year or even starting next year, whatever it is. It could just be a rough year, but
it's nice to see another team have the free agent terrible first season.
Yep.
But anyway, good things for us because our second-year free agent is on fucking fire right now. So the Phillies played the Rockies and very good series. They swept them with 3 wins in a row. And we're going to talk about the first game on Jackie Robinson Day, which was a highlight for me, if you recall our last episode. Where we won 2-1. I don't think Marte pitched, did he?
He did not. It was Nola Alvarado, Hoffman, Dominguez.
Yeah. All right, there it is. So we got some tan guys out there, but not really representing the Jackie side of things. And I don't think the Colorado Rockies have any fucking black players either. Just really weird, pasty white guys that are good in like high altitudes. But Phillies ended up winning the first game 2-1 in the 10th inning. So honestly, what were your first thoughts of this game coming in against the what are they? They were 3-13 or 3-10 or whatever the hell they were coming into us. They didn't have many wins.
I think I called it last week, and I said that they were going to sweep them. I believe I said the Rockies. I almost 100% positive I said we were going to sweep them. But the first game, I don't want to say it was too exciting at all, but it was a great outing by Nola, and again, got 0 run support. He gave up that 1 homer, and that was almost immediate, but he couldn't get any run support the whole entire thing. We scored run in the bottom of the 3rd. He gave up the 1 homer in the 5th, and all of a sudden we just fell off the face of the earth. Nothing happened until the bottom of the 10th when Christian Pache won the game of all people.
Oh, and we have a fun note to talk about that celebration when we get to it. It's not like the pitcher they were up against, Cal Quantrill. His ERA is 4.33 this year. He's had 5 games. He's got 2 losses, 27 innings pitched, 15 strikeouts, and a WHIP of 1.48. We made him look like a Cy Young contender during that game.
Didn't strike out against him, though. We only had 1 strikeout against him.
1 strikeout. Yeah, that's true. So Nola's stats were 7.1 innings pitched, so 7 1/3, with 4 hits, 1 earned run, and 9 strikeouts. Quantrill had 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, and 1 strikeout. And our top performer on the Phillies was Bryson Stott, who went 2 for 3 with a walk, a run, and a stolen base. And then to your point, Christian Pache with the heroics in the 10th inning.
Who was pinch running for Schwarber.
Yeah,
and then he had to be our DH.
Imagine that, hearing that going into the 10th of and I think I remember Tom talking about it on the broadcast of hey, remember, Schwarber can't go back out and hit. He had a pinch runner, and it's Christian Pache. So It was like Tom McCarthy just kind of giving us a matter of fact, but still sounding sad.
Yeah.
But the heroics.
It's amazing because out of 33 at bats that game, we only had 4 strikeouts. So we did really well at hitting the ball, but we just hit it directly at people.
I do remember watching that game where they were peppering it all across the field, but the Rockies were actually playing some really good defense, which would not be the case in the following couple games. But the game went to 10th inning. The exciting moment for us that we blew up our Phanatics chat where we all talk about before the show is the celebration after Pache hit the walk-off, where we all thought Johan Rojas got hurt.
And apparently Bohm got hurt too during there.
Did he? Well, I know I was focused on Johan.
It was Brandon Marsh and Rojas. They were together. So I guess he celebrated and he hurt himself. But then I guess he jumped up or something and hit Marsh in the face.
Yeah, and apparently Rojas his foot got stepped on. That's why he was limping.
Yeah.
And the text between us was oh, well, this takes the decision out of Dombrowski's hands.
Yeah, we were hoping that he was going to sit for a couple games, and then all of a sudden he played the next day.
Which he must have saw our conversation, or saw Twitter go oh, thank God, this is how we get out of this. Hey, good job, kid.
Yeah.
But shit happens. He starts playing phenomenally after that part. So He must have saw Twitter and went, oh fuck, they're turning on me.
Yeah, we don't want you here anymore. The defense just isn't cutting it anymore, bud. Appreciate it though.
Yeah, when you come up to bat with at least 2 runners on and we need you to get one of them across with no outs, fuck off, dude.
Yeah.
But Pache with the heroics. They win. They squeak that one out, which is kind of nail biting. And at least at that standpoint, I would tell you, I didn't think they were going to sweep. Like if you're inching out against the Rockies in extra innings, it's like this is going to be a rough April.
Yeah, I felt real rough when I saw that after the Aaron Nola gave up that homer in the fifth. I'm like, oh shit, this ain't
Nola
gonna be
doing
good.
Nola things.
Yeah, I'm like, this is gonna get out of hand fast. And he pitched 2 more innings after that, and he did really well.
But the fun starts happening the next night. So Ranger Suarez takes the mound, and he goes 9 shutout innings against the Rockies, finishing a complete game, and we'll talk about that a little bit after this. But the Phillies win 5-0. Top performers, obviously, Ranger Suarez went 9 innings with 7 hits, 0 earned runs, 8 strikeouts. Harper had himself kind of a game, going 2 for 4 with a home run, a double, 3 RBIs in a run. And even Realmuto had a good game where he went 1 for 4, but that one mattered because it was a home run, 2 RBIs, and a run. So how are we feeling on Tuesday after that nail biter on Monday?
I was definitely encouraged by what I saw with Harper again. Like I was like, oh, maybe he's going to turn it back on again. But that game was amazing. Like I said at the beginning of our episode, just with the grounders back to Ranger, he didn't break a sweat the whole entire game. Like you look at Nola, and Marsh may dump water on his head, and that's how he looks soaking wet. But Nola pours sweat like there's no tomorrow, and Ranger it could be 105 degrees, and he is perfectly fine. Doesn't nothing phases him.
Unless they clinched and he has to unfortunately pitch the next day. Then he's hungover and he's just like, here's 60 miles per hour across the plate.
Yeah, exactly. But other than that, like that game was pure fun, like right off the bat. It was exactly what you wanted out of this team and what you thought you could get from the team. Like they got the 2 runs immediately in the first inning. We're like, yep, all right, here we go. And then Ranger just shut them down completely. 8 Ks, like 2 in the 9 innings. Like it was a hell of a outing for sure.
But how did we feel about him going the 9 innings? I know we talked a little bit earlier about how we're not big fans of the bullpen, which when we talk about the White Sox next week on our show, we're going to see where like, hey, 7 runs doesn't really cut it, or 9 runs. But
when he was in the 8th inning, I think he was at 85 pitches. And I'm like, go ahead, keep going. That's fine. And I don't know if it was like the 2nd or 3rd out when he ended up walking the guy, and then there was a base runner on. And I'm like, oh, this may be time for you to get somebody warmed up. Mm-hmm. And I think Hoffman did get warmed up in the 9th. I think he threw 10 balls and he was ready to go, because I remember McCarthy talking about that, and I think that was that game. Mm-hmm. But I didn't think he was going to come out at all for the 9th. Like 0% chance, especially with Thompson as your your manager. Like I didn't think so at all.
And we had a long 8th because we scored 2 runs in that inning.
Yeah, and that just seemed to keep going as well. Yeah, so you're right about that. And so I definitely didn't think he was going to come back out. And maybe it was the 9th inning where he looked a little rusty, probably because of how long the 8th was. But yeah, I think that was it.
There's a big sigh of relief and like a pressure off your chest on that 3rd out. Went right back up to him, and then he walked it over to the first base. It's like, of course, the last out has to be a dickhead Ranger Suarez out.
Yeah, because that was it. Charlie Blackmon singled to center field. Ezekiel was called out, so that was your first out. Then Ryan McMahon singled to right field, so you had first and second. You're like, oh shit, here we go. And this is when I think Hoffman started warming up. And then you had Elias strike out on a foul tip, and then you had Nolan Jones finally ground out to the infield, and that was Ranger Suarez to Bryce Harper, the ending game. So that's where you kind of were like, all right, dude, you're at like 100 pitches. Maybe it's time to warm somebody up and have Hoffman ready. And so that's where Thompson went. And then he ended up getting those 2 outs pretty quickly.
So that'll take us to Wednesday's game, which would help complete the sweep, but not without some fucking fireworks. So I was at the game. Did not feel good on the first inning. First inning, we had a couple of miscues, I would say, in the outfield. Ball got past Bohm and Turner to roll to Marsh. Sanchez was not looking crisp in that first inning, and I think I texted you and said, "Oh, here we go. Like this is the one we lose." But the fireworks would go off in the Phillies at the bottom of the first with back-to-back homers from Schwarber and Trey Turner. And then they would tack on a couple more runs with an Alec Bohm double. So the top players of that game, Christopher Sanchez went 6 innings pitched. He got the win, 5 hits, 0 earned runs, which I got a question for you after we get done that. 10 strikeouts. Schwarber went 2 for 5 with 2 home runs, 3 RBIs, and 2 runs. And Trey Turner went 3 for 5, 1 home run, double, RBI, 2 runs. He was 1 triple shy of the cycle.
You could see he was trying so hard for it too.
Oh yeah, like he didn't need it, but he needed it in his mind. So the question I have, if I'm not mistaken, Sanchez gave up a home run in the first inning, and that's the first run they got, right?
Yes.
How is that not earned?
Wasn't that the one where Marsh hit? Didn't it hit his glove?
Oh, did it? I was at the game, so I couldn't see what transpired.
Yeah, because I remember them talking about it. Or no, that wasn't the homer. So Ezekiel singled to left field. Brenton reached on an error. Ezekiel went to third, fielding error by Bohm. And then
so okay. So what I said, the miscue where it went past Bohm, then past Turner, out to Marsh.
Yeah,
that was an error. Okay.
Yeah, and then it was Elias grounded out to shallow infield, and that's where Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, and that's where the Ezekiel scored. So that's how it was the one run but no earned.
Infinitely fucking harder to track a game when you're at the stadium to understand what the hell is going on. So round of applause for Tom McCarthy and we'll say John Kruk, but Tom really getting us on track. John will tell you what happened on SmackDown as you're watching the game.
But they're definitely there. I thought it was this series or like the Rocky series where Marsh was right there with a home run ball. So maybe I don't know. Maybe it wasn't.
Could have been the Sox. So he gets 0, and Sanchez is pitching a gem. Our third and fourth starters are pitching gems. And we're tacking on some runs. So we get 4 out of the first inning, and I sent the joke text of like, okay, I can go home. Things should be safe. They wouldn't score again until the 5th. Tacking on another run, tacking on another 2 at the 6th, and I think that's when I looked and went, all right, we're good. But we weren't good because we have a bullpen that is ass. And in the 8th inning, they gave up 5 fucking runs, and that's the Pinto game, right? Or did Pinto do that in?
No, that's Soto.
That was Soto.
Pinto. Okay. Pinto's the White Sox.
Spoiler alert. But holy shit! I remember I got home and watched it and was just, it's so fucking sad. And it's sad that it's happened more than once and I forgot who fucking did it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he only pitched a third of an inning. So he only got 1 out. And he gave up 3 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned. So everything was charged to him. And like he left in a terrible situation, and Hoffman had to come in and try to salvage as much as he could. And I think he gave up the 2 runs, the hits, but it was on Soto's line. But like, dude, like what else are you gonna do when you come in and the bases are loaded and there's only one out? Like,
Yeah, guy before you walked 4 fucking people, and it's like,
like there's not much that you can question or do or what, but it was a rough game for Soto. He had no control on anything, and I believe it was that game where the ump was kind of, all right, I'm going to give you these pitches because these
mhm,
pitches were wide,
yep,
and you didn't think that in a normal game or if it was called by a robot like the AAA is, there's no shot that they would have been strikes. So like everything that went wrong for Soto went wrong.
mhm.
Everything.
And like I said, it's sad that we'll be having this conversation again next week when we talk about the White Sox series. We
Mm.
won the game. Should have won it more definitively. Alvarado got a save. And again, we'll talk about this with the White Sox series that he gets another fucking save of like games that should not have been in a save fucking scenario.
Yeah. 0% chance that it should have been there.
And also, was this not the night? I know he's been on fire this past week, so I might be mixing it up. Did Schwarber get his 250th on this night, or was that during the White Sox series?
That's a great question. I don't remember what day that
It
was.
it might be during. No, it was this game. So his first home run of the night, where he led off, was the 250th,
Okay.
and then he got his 251st later on in like the 5th or 6th inning.
Yes. Yeah. You're right.
So congratulations to him. I'm saying nice things about him. Tyler's not here, so does it truly happen? I don't know.
Yeah. Your favorite player.
Favorite play? Hey, it's gonna be my City Connect jersey because he's gonna get a fucking extension because he's all of a sudden playing in April.
The only issue that you have is you're going on these amazing streaks now, and they're not really streaks, but you're on like a 5 or 6 game win streak. Spoiler alert. But
Mm-hmm. So are the Braves,
so are the Braves.
and so are the fucking Mets.
Yeah. Yeah,
What?
the Mets have come out of nowhere, and our division has turned into a semi-good division when you have the Nationals in fourth place at 10 and 11, and
Yeah,
we haven't really played any NL East teams either. So that's the other
except the
issue I
one
have
that
with the schedule
matters.
too.
Spoiler alert, though, for those who wanted, the Braves did lose today.
Thank God.
So their streak came to an end, and we'll celebrate that next week, hopefully, if shit doesn't go sideways in Cincinnati, because I think the Braves play the Marlins next. So shit can't go sideways in Cincinnati.
The Marlins have basically given up on the year. They have told their manager that he's not being brought back next year. So they have like truly given up on the year, and it's crazy. Like you're
April.
only yeah.
You
Well,
were a wild card team. What the fuck?
I think it was Fransky said today. I was listening to it on the drive over here that he said, "Well, the White Sox aren't even going to make it to Arbor Day." He said, "Isn't Arbor Day next Sunday?" He said, "Yep, they're eliminated from playoff contention before Arbor Day."
Ah, man. But I don't know how the Braves managed to get the Marlins twice in the first fucking month.
No, and we got the Braves to start the year, and that's been it for basically NL East teams. Like we haven't seen anybody else.
Yeah, so when we were saying the world was on fire after dropping that series, it is. We don't get the chance of redemption
No, and the
for another
next time
couple months.
the next time we play an NL East team is May 10th.
And that's what, the Nats?
No,
Or
Marlins.
okay. Well, then we play the Nats after them because I want to say the Bryson Stott bobblehead night is them versus the Nats.
It's Mets after the Marlins, then the
Okay.
Nats.
So then we finally start playing. Well, hopefully the Mets cool the fuck off. I don't even know who's left on that team for them to be good.
It's crazy. You're right. Like there's no like you don't have any pitchers at all. Like
Yeah,
none.
I don't know who's pitching for that because the only guy I knew was Senga, and he's hurt. Is he not? Or did he
No,
come back?
he's back. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think I have him on my fantasy team. So no, I think he's still hurt.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
any of these fucking people that are pitching for them.
Do they still have Carrasco? Because he was the Philly.
Nah, well,
He's going to.
so the Mets tomorrow have Quintana starting,
Okay,
then
Quintana is really good.
Severino is 2-1, then
Severino came from the Yankees.
Mania, who's 1-1, and then Buto,
I don't know
who's
who they are.
0-0, but he's got a 1.65 ERA.
Oh,
But they play the Cardinal. They're coming up against the Giants and then the Cardinals.
okay.
So
So probably a good series against the Giants, and then
how the fuck did they beat the Dodgers? How did they win the Dodgers series? Oh my god, we are gonna have a fun May to talk about.
yeah, the Dodgers have. I don't know what's going on with them, but yeah,
The
we'll talk about
Dodgers are
that
getting the
another day.
karma that we hoped for at the beginning of this series for being dickheads, assigning Otani and paying him $1 a year until fucking
And
his
my boy
contract's up.
Yoshi, my boy Yoshi.
Yeah, well, that they extended Glasnow. They went and got fucking the dude from the Marlins. Like they gobbled up the entire free agency. So
Yeah,
I hope they don't make playoffs.
yeah, I agree. Kershaw should be coming back for them, or he's already back. I forget, but yeah.
Anyway, we'll be back next week to talk about the White Sox series. Spoiler alert, we got the brooms out. And then hopefully good news from the Reds. We got 4 games up against them. Either we'll be talking to you on game 3 or after game 4, depending when we get a chance to record. Hopefully, I'm just hoping for a split with the Reds. I don't know how they've been doing since we've last saw them.
I don't know either, but yeah, a split with them would be great. I'd be beyond ecstatic about that, considering they took 2 of 3 here. So I'd be
So
fine with that.
they've got the same. They're 12-9. We're 14-8. Looking at Cincinnati and how they've played since we've seen them last, they dropped the series to the Mets. They dropped the series to the Brewers because that Thursday it got rained out. They swept the White Sox, seems to be a common theme, and then got swept by the Mariners. And then swept the Angels. So they're bipolar. We don't know what we're getting.
And I think their NL Central, the NL Central almost has everyone above 500. It's just the Cardinals that are below 500 at 9-13.
Yeah, they were flirting with 500 for a while until we
Yeah,
fucked up their days. But they got 4 games against us. They go out Monday, April 22nd at 6:40. Then Tuesday at 6:40, Wednesday at 6:40, and then Thursday at 1:10. And then we're off to the West Coast. So one thing we do on this show, I said is we want to scope out the next couple series. So by the time we talk, it would have been, hey, what do we think we're doing against the White Sox? I think we're going to sweep them. And then what are we going to do against the Reds before the next show? So you're going with the split on the Reds?
yeah, because I imagine that they're going to bring Walker back. So I don't know how he's going to look, and I think it's going to be a rough game for that. But yeah, it's going to be a split.
All right, well, we might as well finish out April while I got you on the line. How do you think they're going to do on the West Coast against the Padres? I haven't even been keeping up with the fucking Padres to know how they're doing.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't. They're second in the NL West at 12-12. So
they're a 500 team? Okay.
Yeah. And then Angels are 9-13, third in AL West.
So the Angels, we play them for 2 games in April. The third game falls in May.
Yeah.
Padres, I'm going to go with they win the series. I don't think it'll be pretty because the team still has Machado and Tatis Jr. Like, Machado was on par with Bryce when it came to that free agency series. So if Machado fires up, it could be a rough outing for us, especially on their home turf. Your thoughts on the Padres?
I hate to say it, but they're going to lose that series.
You do?
Yeah. I just think that they have not better pitching, but better starters in a way. And Blake Snell, or no, he's on the.
He's a Giant now.
Yeah. Who is it? There's somebody else. Shit, I can't remember his name. But I like the pitching better compared to not to ours because we've been phenomenal these last 6 games now, but
we got to fuck up somewhere.
Yeah, they're gonna screw up, and I don't want to say that the Reds are gonna take some confidence away, but they're gonna take some confidence away. So I'm gonna go with they're gonna split the Reds. They're gonna lose 2 of 3 to the Padres, and then they'll win the final 2 against the Angels.
So I think they'll win the Padres. You do have Nola, Ranger, and Sanchez pitching that series. The Angels, it's really going to come down to what the hell our fifth starter is. If it's Turnbull or Walker, it most likely will be Walker at that point. And hopefully Walker is pitching at the Turnbull level we've come to accept. And then they got Wheeler on that second game. So I think they're going to win those 2 series. I do think they're going to split the Reds. If they happily surprise me and they beat the win the Red Series, World Series win. Just gonna throw it out there. Gotta throw it out.
That's definitely the logic step to take.
Yeah, because at that point, this is like the most winning April they've had since 2019, is it not?
Yes, and it's hurt because I made a bet with my brother that I was going to buy him the first 2 rounds if we actually had a winning April, and this is, like you just said, the best April in 5 years.
Hey, they still have time to fuck it up. There's 9 games left.
There's 6 games above 500.
Yeah, there's plenty of time to fall behind on 500, go to 4th place, and make that underdog run we always do.
The magic number's 3, though, so they have to lose 3 games or win 3 games. I mean.
Yeah, well, they're going to Cincinnati, so I'm sure they're going to make that bet look shaky when they get into Cincinnati. Anyway, that's going to do it for us this week. Any final thoughts?
No.
Okay.
No.
Hopefully,
now you have me nervous.
Why? Because we get to start next week's podcast about the White Sox, so we'll come in on a positive. That's why I saved it. If we would have ate up that White Sox series in this episode, then it could have been a very depressing 4-game talk next week. Anyway, that's going to do it for us here on the Jersey Phanatics. I've been Chris the Dace Man Dace. He's been Erik Burruezo.
Bye-bye.
And just like his dad, Tyler's nowhere to be found, and maybe he'll be back next week. So check everything out on Facebook.com/Basement Protocol Productions. You can find this on YouTube at BPP Pods. And then you can listen to this wherever you get podcasts, Spotify, Apple, if you guys still do Stitcher, type of thing. So that's going to be all for us. See you next week.
Bye-bye.